So, I'm a child of the 60s and the 70s, and like so many of us from that era, our education wasn't complete with a chance to study abroad. So I trust that all of you know that study was really about travel. So in those days, way back when, we traveled by train, courtesy of a cheap Eurail pass. How many of you did that? Yes, good. Now, we never left home without a sleeping bag strapped to our backpack, right? So why did we do that? We did that so we could sleep between cities. Why? Because we wanted to save money to spend on other things. We didn't need a hotel. We didn't need a hostel. And we didn't need a hot shower, right? That's real, by the way. That's why it's so fuzzy. But like most things in my life, I needed to do all of this, but I did it a little bit differently. So instead of going abroad in my junior year of college, I finished college early, and I set up for graduate school in London. The original plan was a one-year master's degree. It ended up being a 5-year PhD with time living in Germany, in Norway, and of course in London as well. My dissertation was on the German sickness insurance system between 1883 and 1911 and its impact on American health policy. So, does that sound obscure to you? Irrelevant, perhaps? Think again. The German program was enacted in 1883 and implemented in 1884. And like our system, but unlike any of the other European systems, it was then and is today an employment-based program. You enroll through your employer, and if you're not working, you enroll in a fund that looks just like an insurance option on an American exchange. And in Germany, the employer pays 2/3 of the premium, while the employee pays 1/3. And remember that here in the US, employers are required to offer a plan that covers 67%. 67% is just more than 2/3 of the actuarial value of the minimum benefits required under the plan. And there are many, many more parallels. Okay. So now you know more about me than perhaps you ever wanted to know. I'm both a nerd, and yes, I'm a bit of a rebel too. But today we're talking about innovation. And as you can imagine, given my nerd-like, and I'd like to think of them as avant-garde tendencies, this is a great time. It really thrills me. So I'd like to share with you my most recent revelation on innovation. The most significant innovations in history come at special times when there's significant, almost chaotic change in many areas of society. And now, my friends, is one of those times. John said it well. I'm not going to compare it to the Ice Age, but as that closet nerd, I'm going to take you back again to the 19th century. And I'm going to try to put it in context for you. The Industrial Revolution in Europe in the 19th century was one of those times when there was significant innovation during a time of massive and fundamental change. Consider this. Not only were there technological changes in the way work was done, think animals to machines, but at the same time, there was a major demographic shift. People moved in great numbers from farms to cities, but the population also more than doubled, in large part due to greater food production, better sanitation, and an increased birth rate. Now, in addition, modern medicine was coming into its own. And with all of that, there were changes in domestic regulation, particularly over the newly available health and medical services. I believe that here and now, in 21st century America, we're in the midst of a similar watershed period. A time when the way we live, our world as we know it, is profoundly changing. And like in 19th century Europe, the massive changes in the economy and a profound demographic shift are pushing changes in healthcare policy and hence in the way we have to operate. Now I want to look at the 21st century game changers. There are three of them. First, the technology revolution. Second, the silver tsunami. And the third is the Affordable Care Act. Now, change agent number one is technology. Technology is rapidly shifting our economy from the age of the machine to the age of information. To illustrate this shift, I want to take a quick look in the rearview mirror and at the road ahead. So we've gone from snail mail to instant messaging. Remember file cabinets? Man, I still have one, I'm afraid, but I'd keep more of my documents on the cloud. A broom. How many of you have an iRobot or something like that? It's great, isn't it? We've gone from my favorite, the encyclopedia. How many of you did research projects using the Encyclopedia Britannica? Come on, I know some of you are my generation. And now, is there an encyclopedia? Do you buy them for your kids? I certainly didn't. What do you use? Google search. It's great. But here's the one that's really interesting. The surgeon in the old days used to use their own hands and their own eyes. But now what happens? A surgeon uses often this thing called a Da Vinci robot, and often remotely. Consider this. Oh, I'm going to need to shift here a little bit. Where are we with technology in our industry? Where are we? We're woefully behind, aren't we? We need to face it. Digital information is the basis for evidence-based care. Digital information is the means to succeed in this new era of value-based care and reimbursement. My friends, electronic medical records aren't optional anymore. So let's look at change agent number two, the silver tsunami. I have trouble saying that sometimes. Think of it, someone in America turns 65 every 8 seconds. And that means that today alone, 10,800 individuals will cross that line. 325,000 will turn 65 this month, and nearly 4 million will do so this year. But as Bob Kramer of NIC recently reminded me, this longevity bonus of new added years comes with a longevity challenge. Years which are often filled with expensive and debilitating chronic illness. And the reality of the cost associated with more people with more chronic illness is one of the real reasons our healthcare system is changing. You know, by 2022, without change, healthcare in America will cost 20% of the GDP. Think of that, 20 cents of every dollar in your pocket is going to be spent on healthcare unless we do something different. It's more than we can afford. And in regard to Medicare, people pay in more than what they receive. Far less than what they receive. And if unchecked, Medicare is going to be insolvent by the year 2030. And this is a big part of the longevity challenge the silver tsunami creates. The third change agent, as I said, it's the Affordable Care Act. Like Bismarck's health reform legislation in the late 19th century, under the Affordable Care Act, we still get insurance as part of our employment. And we still use that insurance to pay for services when we're sick. But just as fundamentally as the German program did for 19th century providers, the Affordable Care Act is changing the way the game is played. The new legislation and its current buzzwords value, not volume, patient engagement and personal responsibility, care transformations, and the triple aim. Well, these things, they're going to shake up the way we're paid, the way we communicate, and the way we relate to our consumers, to our customers. So I want to take one more look in that rearview mirror and through the windshield ahead. We've gone from sickness treatment to population health, and with that, health and prevention. Now, you remember the family doctor who used to have admitting privileges at the hospital? Now what do you have? You have a hospitalist, someone who's part of oftentimes a national company who sees you when you go to the hospital. You don't know that person. We've gone from paper to electronic records, and my favorite in senior living is we've gone from those wonderful people we called the walkie-talkies to a population that's predominated by people with 4 or more chronic conditions and many functional limitations. So now I trust you agree with me. These are times of huge change, of fundamental change, of life-altering change. But what are we going to do about it? Well, this is Conference on Innovation, so we innovate, right? Who's in? Oh, good, lots of you. Let me show, I want to see that show of hands one more time. Okay, come on. But how many of you are really accepting the fact that full fundamental change is inevitable in our industry? How many of you are actually doing something about it? Something that will assure not only survival, but a thriving future. My friends, is there a winning strategy, something we all can and we must do to make it in this new world of value-based operations complete with evidence-based outcomes and the thing we all love, payment bundles? This may shock you, maybe not. But I think the strategic answer lies in one simple word. And my colleagues who spoke earlier, I think, would agree. That word is coordination. Now, when we say coordination, what do we mean? And how does coordination relate to new technology? How does coordination relate to the silver tsunami? And why is coordination essential under the Affordable Care Act? And for that matter, just what does coordination mean? So, of course, I went to the esteemed Merriam-Webster dictionary, the paper version, which defines coordination as the organization of different complex elements or activities that enables them to work together effectively. Okay, it's a simple word, but it's hard to do, isn't it? Hard to execute on, particularly in healthcare, when we've worked independently in our little silos for so very long. But today I want to share with you how coordination can be the key to our blue ocean strategy, our strategy that enables us to create and sustain a viable market for senior living in this new shark-filled environment. So we got to think in terms of the 3 massive change agents. First, technology. We need to stop discussing and adopt, even embrace technology that allows us to collect, manipulate, and share data. An electronic health system or record is just the beginning, but it's a non-negotiable. It's the foundation if you want to play in this new world. An electronic health record provides us real-time information and allows our providers to serve our residents. And it also allows us to collect critical data and use predictive analytics to make winning decisions. Technology is the high means way we will achieve coordination. Second is the silver tsunami. Now, to deal with chronic care effectively, we need to establish and maintain a continuous communication loop. Clear, ongoing, regular, and real-time communication is the lifeblood of a coordination strategy. It's what helps us deliver health and life solutions, and it's are high-touch means to secure coordination. Now, communication protocols are essential. They're the protocols that force all players to look at information, digital or otherwise, and share it when appropriate, and then review outcomes together. Now, I promise you over time, the protocols will become second nature. They will be our new normal. Okay, number 3, only one more change agent to address, the Affordable Care Act. Now, this one is a biggie for us. How will coordination help us succeed as the Affordable Care Act shakes the very ground on which we walk? Well, my answer, as David said, is to partner. We have to be the strategic aggregator. We have to be the provider who coordinates the team around the resident, the patient, the individual. Now, why are we the right one to take the lead? Well, Medicare spending is increasing, depending on who you read, between 5.8 and 7.3% per year. But of that spending, 73% of the variation in that spending, that's the place where change is possible. Where does it happen? Post-acute care. They're talking about our residents, our business. Our residents are the market targeted for change. And if we control a big part of that market targeted for change, we can and we must use it to our advantage. So here's how. First, create a network of providers who agree to utilize both our electronic health records and our communication protocols. Second, add medical services that bridge providers, most importantly, primary care. And third, we need to extend our business model to provide the coordinated care product to new markets, including, for example, Medicare Advantage plans and home and community-based care programs. With care becoming site agnostic and networks narrowing, it's our time to take our seat at the table. And I'm talking about assisted living, not just the skilled world. We all need to take our seat at the table. And we need to bring the solution, which is win-win for everyone, not just one-sided. And that solution, my friends, can be summed up in that one simple word: coordination. Coordination is our competitive edge. It's in our wheelhouse. It's what we've always done. Technology helps. It makes what we can do clear to other people. Now, in contrast, let's think about health systems and physicians. They've been historically very, very bad at coordination. And why? Because it wasn't in their financial interest for the most part. They made more money with more hospital days than by sending someone to a lower cost setting. My friends, that doesn't work anymore. Okay, so let me take you back to Lynne, the nerd and the rebel. And I want to add one more jewel to my expanding crown of very groovy levels. Again, 60s word. So some of you have heard me say that my parents dressed me as a child in clothes that made me stand out from the other kids, and not in a good way. I had these little European frocks, and they had the go-go boots. And you also know that by the time I was a preteen, I said, screw that, and I did my own thing regardless of what anyone else said or thought. So in addition to making movies, I also designed and made my own clothes. Check out the pants. It was hard to find the right picture. Thank you. I loved sewing. I loved designing my own clothes. And I bought the brightest fabrics and crazy patterns that I could to make sure that my outfits were not only one of a kind, but stood out. Again, for better or for worse. Okay, so I no longer have time to make clothes. I didn't make this one, even though it's bright enough to stand out. I still make costumes, though. And I make them not only for myself, but for all the kids on the street. So I want you to see my last costume. This is me as the queen bee last Halloween. And for those of you who don't know Juniper very well, we dress up. You must come in costume or I give you a costume. We have a contest throughout the whole country. Everybody sends it in and then we give awards for the best costumes and they are fantastic. I want you to know also that my beloved 6-year-old neighbor, Lily, she was my princess bee, and the inspiration from for this costume came from her. But really, friends, what I like to do now as I round out my career is be a nerd, a rebel, and a designer all at the same time. And what I love about today, about these changing times, is that I can do that right now. Now, innovator is too big a hat for me or for my company Juniper to fill, but it's what we've tried to do about the need to coordinate post-acute care services, to meet the triple aim, and secure our small business during these turbulent times. Now, I need to digress one more time. Bear with me. Because this conference is all about innovation, I need to share two valuable insights about the new research on innovation, which is called open innovation. First, innovation has to negotiate the inherent tension between standardization and customization. Think about the difference between a mass-produced or a made-to-order dress or shirt or whatever. The second insight is really vital to developing our strategy around coordination, to build a strategy that accommodates both the need to contain cost, standardization, and the need to meet personal preferences, customization. We need to acknowledge that not all the smart people work for us. That means that there's more value in creating a strategy that connects what exists than building a new on our own. We need to partner. That's what I mean when I say strategic aggregation. So at Juniper, we took those words seriously, and we developed a model we call Connect for Life. Connect for Life is a high-tech, high-touch platform that integrates the services our residents need to stay healthy and, equally important, enjoy quality of life. So what makes Connect for Life work, and how do we use the solutions I outlined earlier? Electronic health records, communication protocols, and strategic aggregation to address these three big change agents that are stalking senior living. Well, first, we adopted technology. Not only did we adopt it, we embraced it. Our providers, both in-house and ancillary, use our EHR. We require them to enter information into our electronic health record. It's not popular, but it's the high-tech piece. Second, we assured a communication loop by hiring a medical concierge. The medical concierge coordinates among providers and users, residents, families. And we all use established communication protocols that we set up. That's the high-touch piece. But finally, to address the changes wrought by the Affordable Care Act, we bridge acute, post-acute, and ambulatory care by integrating primary care. We also integrate pharmacy, rehab, and home care, and we provide those services on site in someone's own home. We've become the strategic aggregator. So you don't have to take pictures of this. It's on our website, and so is copies of this white paper that we wrote that outlines the whole program. It's all there. Feel free to get it, and if you have questions, you can certainly call me and ask me. But I want to tell you that Connect for Life is working. At Juniper, discharges due to health and related decline are down 25% year over year. That's huge. And we all know that if you close the back door, occupancy goes up, right? And if census is up, revenue is up. And if you have good expense control, which I know you all do, the bottom line is stronger, and what happens to enterprise value goes up. Now, I want to leave you with this. What Juniper did is innovative, but we didn't achieve it through large capital investment rocket science, or even celebrity-worthy creativity, although I'd like to think we did. We chose to find the opportunity amidst chaos. We chose to find the opportunity among this fundamental change. And we used what we had. We used our existing skills to coordinate the system and integrate a bigger group of players to partner. You can do it too. It's simple. And what is it? It's coordination. Now, please, I need you to remember this. You can fight all of this. My fear is you'll fail. You can accept it and survive. Or you can lead and you can prosper. We can lead. Let's lead. Thank you.